although we're a little confused about this news, what more can you tell us about what the sources are saying about this supposed transaction?
Well, there really isn't a transaction. The fact is that Phil Jackson called up Cleveland, wanted to know if they were interested in Anthony for Love swap. Cleveland told them we are absolutely not, and that's when the conversation ended. What's interesting about this rumor now and Jackson doing this now is the fact that if he had done this a year ago, I think Cleveland seriously considers it. Now, would it have been hard to maybe get Anthony to waive his no trade at that point? It might have been, but he was going to join LeBron in Cleveland with a chance to compete for a title. And last year at this time, if you remember, there was a lot of issues with Kevin Love and the Cavs and the fitting in versus fitting out and what was going to happen there and was Love a good fit with that team and all that stuff. Now they want a title with Kevin Love. And Kevin Love is playing like an all-star here. And I think tonight when the all-star reserves are named, his name will be on that. So Phil Jackson decides when Love's value is at its highest and Anthony's value is close to its lowest, let's make the phone call then. So I'm more of an example of Phil Jackson kind of being out of touch and maybe not being all that good at the team president thing.
Yeah, you can understand our confusion, right? Because, yeah, it's they're trending in opposite directions, so that's probably the worst time to go ahead and suggest that trade. If Melo does opt out of that trade clause or that no trade clause, where do you think would be the best fit for him?
Well, I think we have to look at the Charlie Rosen piece from FanRag Sports from a few weeks back where Phil Jackson kind of let through a piece of information there. It would be the Cavs or the Clippers. I think ultimately if Anthony's going to waive the no trade, it's going to be either to go play with LeBron James or go play with Chris Paul and have a chance at either place to compete for a title. We know now that the Cavs are just not interested because if you're Phil Jackson, there's nothing else in the Cavs roster that you would have an interest in besides Kevin Love, and for that I can't blame him. The Clippers is a little more interesting, but still it's a similar situation. If I'm the Clippers, I think I want something different if I'm going to trade Blake Griffin than just a 32-year-old Carmelo Anthony. And if you look at what else is on that roster, outside of Austin Rivers, there's just not all that much young talent. I mean, do you trade Melo for Austin Rivers, Bryce Johnson, and what's going to amount to a late first-round pick? I don't know that that's the kind of return that you want. And the thing is, you're going to have to take a bunch of contracts back in terms of Jamal Crawford. And if you're the Clips and you want to compete this year, are you throwing Jamal Crawford in that deal? It gets hard quickly to find the right deal to match up. And that's why I think at least till this offseason, Carmelo is going to be with the Knicks and maybe well beyond that. Carmelo made a very interesting statement when he talked about the possibility of waiving his no trade. He's pretty much only going to waive his no trade if the Knicks go ahead and do another complete teardown. And if the Knicks do a complete teardown, that's going to be Phil Jackson waving the white surrender flag. And I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So in his own little way, Melo's applied some pressure to Phil Jackson. If I'll go and I'll leave, but you have to kind of deem your own tenure in New York as a failure before I do.